One sudden slip along a desolate canyon trail puts world champion adventure athlete Danell Balena at the mercy of the Utah wilderness.
I was in the middle of nowhere, and nobody knew where I was.
Her legs useless, she's forced to crawl for every inch to try and escape the unforgiving desert.
I thought I was going to die.
But she'll also need the help of her best friend.
Go!
If she's to win this ultimate survival test. The battle for her own life.
Go find me help. My last chance.
Danell Balena is a super athlete. In triathlon and endurance sports, her reputation is legendary. Several times national and world champion. It's no wonder she's just earned the title US Athlete of the Year for the 6th time. For Danell, giving up is not an option, as paramedic John Marshall is about to discover.
My first meeting of Danell, she just ran 60 miles across open desert in 115-degree temperature before she got to the checkpoint that I was working at. This small-framed woman comes into the med booth. Her feet are blistered, she's completely dehydrated, somewhat delirious, and I said, hey, we would highly recommend we start an IV in you, get some fluids back in you.
You're gonna need this.
No, just a drink and some duct tape.
This kind of sets the mode for my involvement with Danell. I learned that this girl, right from the get-go, was as hard as nails. This was a true athlete to the fullest extent. They say to be a great adventure athlete, first and foremost, you have to be hard to kill. Danell was hard to kill.
It was December 13th, 2006, and I was at my house in Moab. The winter season was approaching, and I was wanting to get in shape for the snowshoe racing season and also to compete in some winter triathlons.
Oh, hey, Tess. Give me a minute, okay? Just give me a minute.
So I was to head out on about a 2 or 2.5 hour run, and I kind of had one of my favorite loops in mind. I hadn't done this loop in a while.
Okay, all right. Okay. I get the message. All right, let's go.
One of the world's premier extreme sports athletes, Danell is known for staggering feats of endurance in adventure racing. Single and living alone, her constant companion is her dog, Taz.
I got Taz from a puppy rescue. I remember going to the shelter and there were several puppies there. This one puppy sort of stood out. Because he was energetic and he liked to run around and he was hyper and he had this real playful attitude about him that I liked. I sort of connected with that.
Look at this one.
Oh, you're cute.
Oh.
And I remember some other lady went up to Taz and was holding him. And I looked at this lady and that's my dog. He wasn't my dog just yet, you know, but I just knew that he was the one. And then so I kind of kept an eye on this lady while she was playing with Taz, and as soon as she set him down, I snatched him up and said, I want this one. There's something that drew me to Taz, that I knew that he was the one for me.
I need you to help me.
With Taz for company, Danell is planning a routine training run through Moab's backcountry. It's a beautiful but rugged wilderness where few people ever go.
It was a sunny day, but it was cool, probably temperatures in the 30s, around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I had my kayak on top of my truck, hopefully planning on going kayaking later that afternoon. I didn't see any bikers or hikers out, just myself and Taz.
Come on, Taz.
I brought my water bottle. At the last minute, I thought, well, I'll grab this little waist pack so I don't have to carry the water bottle in my hand. That way I could just put the water bottle in the waist pack. And it was a small waist pack with 2 zipper pockets. I didn't know what was in those pockets. I just grabbed it, and whatever was in there from my previous run was in my waist pack. And I headed out on the run.
Let's go.
I had absolutely no idea that my life was going to completely change that day.
Come on, boy.
Despite its beauty, the backcountry surrounding Moab can be hostile and dangerous. Just in the last month, 2 men have fallen victim to the deadly terrain, found frozen to death in the bitter desert night. Search and rescue teams are called out regularly to save hikers in distress. But Danell is fearless. 6 times the winner of US Athlete of the Year, she thrives on pushing herself to the limit in the most extreme environments.
I was actually in pretty good physical condition that I usually could push myself right to that limit of pain, but not quite go over it. It actually almost feels good, like you get into the rhythm, get into the flow.
Out for that.
Danell's training route is not marked on any map. And with every step, she's heading further into uncharted territory.
All of a sudden, the next thing I know, Taz was ahead of me, and my foot slipped out from under me. I almost immediately knew that I was in trouble because I couldn't stop. And I was moving fast at that point. And then the last 20 feet were an overhang. Free fall. I definitely had time to see my life kind of spin through my head and think about maybe I wasn't going to see another day. And then boom. Oh my God, I'm still alive. I didn't know what I had done to myself, but I knew I had hurt myself pretty bad.
It's a horrendous fall. The impact has shattered Danell's pelvis into pieces, leaving her skeleton severed in 2. There's nothing but soft tissue connecting her legs to the rest of her body. Super athlete Danell goes into survival mode.
Somehow my brain didn't allow itself to think too deeply about what had happened.
Despite her terrible injuries, Danell's endurance training kicks in, and she's determined to keep moving.
So what I did was I took my right hand and put it on my right leg, and my left hand and put it on my left leg, and I could feel my legs. And so I knew that I wasn't paralyzed. And my next reaction was, I gotta get out of this canyon. I gotta get back to my truck, and I gotta get home, or I gotta get to the hospital.
Incredibly, despite her shattered pelvis, the endurance athlete tries to stand up and run out of the canyon. But with her skeleton effectively in two, Danell's legs cannot support her body. Unable to walk or run, she's facing her worst nightmare. Her legs useless, she's alone on a ledge, separated from her dog, Taz. Danell is stranded in 1,000 square miles of barren, uninhabited wilderness.
I knew that I needed to get out of that canyon. The temperatures were cold, and it was the middle of winter. But I couldn't stand up, I couldn't walk. So I just started dragging myself.
With her skeleton broken in two, shattered at the pelvis, Danell is critically injured. Most people would be in agony, but super-fit athlete Danell is experiencing an enormous adrenaline surge, masking the pain. But the problem for Danell now is which direction to go. She's no idea if there's a safe way down from the ledge. Taz comes to Danell's rescue.
Taz, there you are.
Taz has found her way back through the canyon to reach her. She is no longer alone, but Taz's appearance brings more than comfort.
Since he had gotten to where I landed, I knew that there was a route out. So I used him as my guide and kind of dragged myself where he went, along the shelf and then back down to the bottom of the canyon.
With incredible determination, Danell follows Taz to the bottom of the canyon and now plans to pull herself back to her truck. But as the adrenaline surge wears off, the pain is starting to take a hold.
It would take all my energy to sort of drag myself an inch. And then the pain would be so bad I would have to regroup and try it again.
Time is working against Danell. She knows the dangers of this remote wilderness, and that if she doesn't reach safety by nightfall, the sub-zero temperatures could kill her. With her energy slipping away, Danell remembers her waist pack.
I didn't know what was in that waist pack because I didn't check before I left. And in one of them was a little gel pack, sugar pack, that endurance athletes often bring with them to help provide energy for running.
Eating the gel provides Danell with a much-needed boost, as well as a moment to reflect on the colossal task she's taking on. But her progress is excruciatingly slow.
At one point, I looked back at my tracks and I could just see where I dragged myself through this canyon. It took me probably 2.5 hours just to get to the bottom, dragging myself inch by inch. The canyon that took me maybe 2 or 3 minutes to walk up.
The only comfort Danell has is her dog's constant companionship.
Taz was with me this whole time. I think he probably realized that I was injured. I think he was kind of wondering why I was going so slow.
As the winter sun sets, the temperature is dropping below freezing. Daylight is fading fast, and with it, any chances of getting out of the canyon before nightfall. Despite Danell's superhuman efforts, she's far from safety. Too tired to go on, she stops for the night. But she knows that this desert has a habit of claiming victims in the hours of darkness.
It was comforting having Taz there. And I also knew that if there was to be, say, a coyote or something that was to come into the canyon, that he would bark and scare any wild animals away.
But Taz's presence won't save her from the bitter cold of the savage desert night.
With the injuries to my midsection, it was a little bit uncomfortable if he got too close to me, because it would kind of move my bones around. I was really hopeful that I was going to make it out of there, or that somebody was going to get me. I should have realized right then that I was about to die and that I was in the middle of nowhere and nobody knew where I was.
With hours to go before dawn, the temperature is already well below freezing, and it's still falling.
It was bone chilling. You know, it'd be like laying in a freezer. My feet were frozen and they got frostbite.
Exposure to the cold is causing Danell's body to shut off the blood supply to her extremities to protect her vital inner organs. Frostbite could claim her fingers and toes, but it's only the first stage in the onset of hypothermia.
I know that once you start to get too cold, then the brain will shut down, which is a symptom of hypothermia.
With winter temperatures plunging into the 20s in the Moab Desert, Danell draws on her athletic training to help her survive the night. Despite a fractured pelvis, Danell starts to do crunches to keep herself warm.
It was almost like just lifting my head up, my head and my shoulders up. I couldn't do a full sit-up because I didn't have any movement in my midsection.
It takes a superhuman effort that's almost too much for her.
And then I started to fatigue, and I became tired, and I said to myself, I gotta find a pace that I could maintain through the entire night.
Danell forces herself to do one sit-up every 5 seconds, non-stop, over the next 6 hours. It's an extraordinary challenge, but it's the only way she'll stay alive.
I knew if I fell asleep, I would have died of hypothermia, and I knew if I stopped doing the crunches that I would have died of hypothermia.
In an incredible feat of physical endurance and mental stamina, Danell wills herself to survive in freezing conditions. When most people would probably have given up, Danell has made it through the night by doing sit-ups. In the morning, she has no time to rest. She intends to crawl her way 2 miles back to her truck.
My plan was to take that gel to give me some energy and then to continue to crawl out. I thought that it would be no problem for me to continue dragging myself. And what I didn't know is that the adrenaline had gotten me through those first 5 hours right after the accident.
Danell is in for a terrible shock. The adrenaline that protected her has completely worn off. Now, if she's to survive, she must face her ordeal with no defense against the pain flooding throughout her body.
When I tried to move, it was just throughout my whole body, just this excruciating pain. And on top of the physical pain was the mental pain of being stuck there. I would have rather had 20 people around me hitting me with the hammer. That would have been better than what I was going through. And that's when I started to think, somebody's got to notice that I'm missing. I thought maybe somebody will notice my truck is still parked there.
But as she lives alone, no one is looking for Danell. No one knows she's missing. She is completely alone. It's nearly 24 hours since her devastating fall, and Danell is facing a new danger: dehydration.
I was aware of how dangerous it can be to get dehydrated.
With her fresh water supply gone, only a small puddle by her side is helping her stay alive.
But it was really a struggle to drink from that water source. It was hard to get the water into my water bottle and into me. There was a lot of silt in it.
Easy for you.
But while water can help keep her alive, it also carries a risk.
I didn't want to drink too much because if I peed on myself, then the risk of hypothermia would have been worse because it was so cold out there.
Urinating would wet her clothing. In the bitter cold, it would freeze, speeding up the onset of hypothermia. Only Danell's willpower has prevented it from already happening. As the day wears on, the risk posed by the bitter cold lingers, but a new threat emerges. Inside her body, Danell's injuries have taken a lethal turn for the worse.
I started to feel this inflammation in my midsection, and it was kind of soft and squishy. And I remember if I tried to move, this whole jelly roll would sort of move, almost like a water balloon or something. I remember thinking at the time, oh, it's inflammation.
It's not inflammation. It's far worse. Danell's shattered pelvis has severed blood vessels in her pelvic cavity. She's been bleeding internally for a day and a half, starving her brain and other major organs of the vital oxygen they need for her to survive. Danell is bleeding to death. Unable to move and facing another night in freezing temperatures, Danell is finding it much harder to stay in control. She struggles to do her sit-ups. Worse still, she's beginning to hallucinate because of her blood loss and fatigue.
I remember looking up to the stars, and instead of them being these vivid stars where I could see the Milky Way, all I could see was these stripes in the sky. The second night was a lot harder. That first night, Taz kind of cuddled up next to me, and the second night, he didn't want to. He would come and check on me, but he didn't cuddle up next to me. He just kind of looked at me like, you know, what are you doing laying there? But I don't think he knew what to do either. You know, he probably was, maybe he was thinking, you know, should I leave and go get some dog food, you know, and take care of myself, or should I stay here with her? I think Taz knew something was wrong then. His demeanor had changed a little. He seemed a little bit depressed. He seemed kind of frustrated that I wasn't taking him to his doggy bed. He wanted to continue on back to the house. And he kept looking at me like, come on, let's go to a more comfortable spot. Second night felt a lot colder to me too. Felt long and cold.
What Danell doesn't realize is that the cold is keeping her alive. Her core body temperature is now so low that her metabolism is slowing dramatically. Her blood pressure is dropping, which in turn is slowing the internal bleeding. The cold is delaying the worst, but Danell is already living on borrowed time. As the night wears on, Danell is fighting for her life. It's taking every ounce of willpower to avoid drifting off to sleep, where the onset of hypothermia would lead to certain death.
I remember wanting to be at home in my bed where it was warm and comfortable and where I could sleep. I had been awake this whole time and I was starting to get the sleep monsters where I wanted to sleep, but I knew I had to stay awake. And I still kept hoping somebody would notice that I was missing. The reality of the situation was that I was in the middle of nowhere and nobody knew where I was.
Thanks to her endurance training and extraordinary willpower, Danell has survived a second night in the freezing winter desert, where most people wouldn't have survived one. But it's unlikely she will survive another. 3 pints of blood have seeped into her pelvic cavity, and she's becoming much weaker.
On that lump around my midsection, it was blood. I couldn't see it because it was all internal, but I was losing a lot of blood. I didn't want to die, and I had to get out of the canyon, and nobody knew where I was, so I tried again. And I was determined to just to fight the pain and to try again.
Two days after she set out on her run, several phone calls from Danell's family and friends have finally alerted the police to her disappearance.
Morning, Frank. What do you got there?
I got a possible missing persons call yesterday. I went out to the house this morning to check it out. Lights are on, laptops on, truck's gone. No signs of activity for a couple days at least.
I know her. Danell Balena, the marathon runner. She trains up around Amasa. As a matter of fact, I'm heading up that way right now. I'll take a look around.
Let me know if you find anything.
I will.
Oh, maybe I made it about 3 inches, and I got myself stuck in this small, wasn't even a pothole. It was just a change in direction in the rock, and I couldn't even barely get myself out of it.
With little blood-borne oxygen reaching her vital organs, Danell's body is close to shutting down. It's only her extraordinary physical conditioning that's keeping her alive. But she won't live much longer without medical help. And she knows it.
I was hyperventilating, I could barely breathe. And I also starting to lose my vision. I would turn my head to look, and it would just sort of be this blur across the sky. And then I would have to focus on something in order to sort of get my vision back.
Barely able to see, Danell can go no further. Defeated, she spends a painstaking 3 hours inching her way back to her only source of water. 50 hours after her dramatic fall, the adventure athlete's hopes of getting out of the canyon alive now seem futile.
I got myself back into this spot and I just laid on my back and started crying. And I started to lose hope. And Taz came over to me and was just licking my tears. And I was so sad that I wasn't gonna I didn't know what was gonna happen to Taz. There was not gonna be anybody to take care of him. I was gonna miss not being able to play with Taz, miss being able to run with him and do the things I love to do. And that's when, still can't talk about it.
Local detective Craig Shumway knows that Danell often trains in the Amasa back area, north of Moab. He's hoping his hunch pays off.
Bingo.
Now a search and rescue operation can be launched, but it may already be too late for Danell. Within an hour of the discovery of Danell's truck, the Grand County, Utah search and rescue team mobilizes. Danell's been missing over 2 days, and they know any hopes of finding her alive are fading fast.
Okay, we've got a missing persons, potential injury in the Amasa back area.
John Marshall is in charge of the search team out in the field.
Our organization is set up that individual officers take turns being the officer in charge on any particular day. That day just happened to be my day.
Female, brunette, about 5'4", 120 pounds, name Danell Balena.
Balena?
You know her?
And instantly, in my mind, the story completely changed. We're not looking for a lost tourist, somebody who just wandered off the trail. We're looking for somebody that's got more backcountry experience than your average John Doe on the street. And if this person's been missing in the backcountry for 2.5 days, they're not just lost. This person's in some serious trouble.
While critically injured and exposed to freezing conditions, Danell's endurance training has helped keep her alive for over 2 days. But the physical ordeal is wearing her down mentally.
I was pretty close to dying at that point, and I had lost hope that anybody would find me.
Now, after 51 hours, her intense willpower is breaking down. Despite increasing risk of hypothermia, she can no longer stop herself from urinating. With night bringing colder temperatures, Danell knows that without a miracle, she'll likely freeze to death by morning. The extreme athlete has finally given in.
That's when I started to think about my life and everything that I did. I started to think about my life and everything that I did and everything that I still wanted to do. And I thought about my family and my friends and how much they meant to me. And I thought I was gonna die. I mean, I was dying.
Tess. 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 I need you to help me.
Taz was there with me, and he was all I had at that point. And I said to him, I said, Taz, I'm hurt, I need help. Can you go get help?
Taz. I need you to help me. Go get me help. Taz, go find some help for me, please. Go. This is my last chance, Taz. Go!
And he turned around and he took off.
Taz is her only hope. But Danell knows that by sending him away, she may now face death alone. With little time to spare, Moab Rescue Operations Chief John Marshall arrives at the Amasa backcountry search area first.
The backcountry here in southeastern Utah doesn't play any favorites. It's a beautiful, awe-inspiring landscape, but it also is deadly.
There's a dog down there. You see him?
Yeah, I got him.
Taz has found his way out of the canyon and is heading towards the search party. But as he races towards them, John fears the worst.
I know my dog will never leave my side as long as I have a pulse. So to see her dog down in the bottom of the canyon for the first time, my heart dropped. It says, oh, this can't be a good sign. The dog has left its master.
As the rest of the search party arrives, Taz reaches the top of the canyon. But he doesn't stop, and his behavior is bewildering, particularly to experienced tracker Bego Gerhardt.
This bedraggled dog came running down the Jeep road and right through us. The odd thing was he didn't really want anything to do with us. Like he didn't walk up to the first person and go, feed me.
John Marshall knows that Taz could hold the key to finding Danell. But standard procedure dictates that he cannot delay the rescue operation any further.
Bego, you take the Massaback Trail and the ATV.
Bego Gerhardt is under no illusions about the enormity of the task facing them.
It's usually you're going to look for somebody that's just out after dark, or they broke their ankle and you pretty much know where they are. But this was a full-on search, had no idea within, say, 20 square miles, which is huge in this country with all the canyons and cliffs. 20 square miles can take a long time to cover.
It's time they simply don't have. As evening approaches, temperatures are already dropping. But Bego Gerhardt can't rush, for fear of missing a clue that may lead him to Danell.
As we went up, every time there was a sandy place, I'd look in the sand for tracks. And pretty soon I thought I found some tracks that could be 2 days old, and there were dog tracks along with the shoe prints.
Back at the search and rescue base, John is now sure that Taz is trying to tell them something.
This dog was on a mission, so it's almost as if it ran around and say, hey, look at me, I'm gonna get everybody's attention. Now I'll show you where she's at.
Where is he going?
All of a sudden, down in the bottom of the canyon, the dog reappears and headed back up the Amasaback Trail. So I get on the radio and I radio over to the vehicles heading up the trail.
1T812 to 1T836. Hey, Bego, looks like the dog's coming your direction. Let him pass. Let's see where he's going.
I'm looking over my shoulder. And sure enough, Taz appears and takes off up over the hill. I'm going, you know, I think I should follow Taz for about 5 minutes just to see.
Okay, dog. Let's see what you know.
Time is running out. As nightfall approaches, a new threat to the rescue operation has emerged. Heavy snowfall is forecast, which Danell couldn't hope to survive. Following Taz may now be the last chance of finding Danell alive. Experienced mountain trekker Bego Gerhardt knows that Danell's dog could be her only real hope of survival.
I know to pay attention to dogs because they know stuff. So when he ran up over the hillside, I had a very strong feeling of I better follow him for a few minutes.
As Taz leads Bego deeper into the canyon, the going becomes more treacherous. Bego must slow the ATV and risk losing the dog's trail. Danell has no way of knowing that Taz has found help. She is resigned to dying out in the open. But when he returns, Danell senses a change in his behavior.
Next thing you know, Taz came up, and he came right by me, and he went straight to the puddle, and he started drinking from my puddle. I remember thinking, that's my lifeline, that's the only water I got. Can't you find a different puddle, Taz? But I couldn't, I couldn't say that to him, and I just pet him a few times and let him drink from the puddle. And his demeanor had changed a little bit. He had seemed to get a little bit of energy back. And then he licked my face again, and he was kind of wagging his tail a little bit, and it was sad for me to see this happy little dog that I was never gonna be with. At the same time, I heard this other sound.
Help!
I wasn't hopeful because I'd been screaming help for 50 some hours straight, and nobody had come to help me.
Help!
And just about the time I thought I was going to run out of road, I heard this blood-curdling scream.
Help!
I'll never forget it. And had to be Danell.
I can't move!
The sound got closer, and the engine cut out, and I start begging, desperate begging for help, explaining that I'm hurt, telling this person, you cannot leave, I need help, I need help.
Help! Help! Please help me!
It was the best moment of my life, because I knew right then that I was going to get a second chance. I knew I was going to make it.
And it was quite emotional, because not very often do you go on a rescue where somebody's life is really quite on the edge. The look on her face was one of relief, and then the tears came.
Next thing he said to me was, you got one good dog. And I just started crying. I just laid there and started crying.
I don't think any human could have survived another night in those temperatures.
Taz's extraordinary bond with Danell has saved her life.
Taz certainly did make the difference in shaving hours or perhaps even days off of finding Danell. And in this rescue, she didn't have hours or days to spare. She was on the brink as it was.
I knew Taz was a smart dog, but to be able to do what he did, this was a whole nother level of communication. Suddenly, my dog was taking care of me instead of me taking care of him. I look back on it now and I'm so grateful. He's truly a best friend.
Danell is airlifted to hospital and undergoes emergency surgery to repair the severed vessels that have pumped 3 pints of blood into her pelvic cavity. Then there's a 6-hour operation to pin her shattered pelvis back together. It's touch and go whether she'll pull through.
When we get the reports back to her medical condition, and all the doctors were saying, she really shouldn't be alive with the massive amounts of blood loss that she had, the hypothermia, the frostbite, everything combined, she should have been dead days ago. But here it is 2.5 days later, and she's smiling.
But there's another shock waiting for Danell when she gets to see her feet for the first time in 3 days.
Laying there in the hospital bed, and they had taken my shoes off, and I finally got a glimpse of my feet, and they were black from frostbite. Every single one of my toes and then part of my foot was black. You know, with frostbite, you just have to give it time, and eventually over the next 24 hours, slowly but surely, the color started to come back in my toes, my feet, and so I knew I was gonna be able to, my feet were gonna be okay.
The prognosis for Danell's fractured pelvis was not so reassuring.
The doctor said that the injuries in my pelvis were pretty extensive, so I didn't know if I was going to be wheelchair bound the rest of my life or if I was going to be able to walk again.
Her life has been saved, but her body may be shattered beyond repair. Doctors fear she may never walk again. Against all the odds, the extraordinary determination that kept her alive in the canyon has now put her back on her feet again. After 6 hours in surgery and months of rehab, Danell is up and running.
I'm still able to do what I love to do. It's taken several months of recovery and rehab, but I'm back out running again, running the trails. Taz and I go out almost every day.
And Taz has a new playmate.
My son he's really a gift, and every moment with him I appreciate, and I think I appreciate him even more knowing that, you know, he may have never been if it wasn't for Taz and all the people that, you know, were there to help me survive that experience.